moments of insecurity when I'm dating because I have 5 kids, you know? And then when I start dating and getting on the apps and I realize that my children actually aren't the problem. And that I shouldn't be insecure because I have children. Because honestly, I deserve so much better than what these dating apps have to offer. And I deserve so much better than the men that I'm surrounded by that I refuse. I refuse. And like some men will be like, oh, like you should feel thankful that a guy looks in your direction because you have 5 kids. Your mom raised you wrong. And I would rather die alone with a goldfish than to settle for a man like you. Baby, no. I don't care. 5 kids and all. I don't care. I'm not settling. I refuse. I deserve a man in finance, 6'5", trust fund, blue eyes as well. You know what I mean?
You know what? I do know what you mean. You said 6'5", blue eyes with a trust fund, right? Cool. Well, a friend of mine told me about this lamp that can probably help you out.
It was a magic lamp. The friends rubbed the lamp and a blue genie appeared.
And lady, that blue genie is about the only option you have of finding that man that you're looking for. But seriously, I just got one question for this lady.
Where they dead at?
Where he at? Why ain't you with him? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because to me, it sounds like that'd be the best situation. Now, I don't know the full scenario. I'm not sure what happened to that guy or those guys. Or if you were married and you had a husband, he could have passed away. You guys could have gotten divorced. But the fact that you have 5 kids will make a difference. You can sit there and act like it won't, but it will make a difference. But I'm not going to sit here and say you can't find a good man. I have a family member. When her and her husband got divorced, she had 5 kids. She ended up remarrying, and her and that man have been together for 10 years. And he's a good man. He's not a 6'5" finance guy, but he's a good dude. So it can't happen. But let's just be honest. If you believe those 5 kids won't play a part in the type of man you're going to be able to attract at this point in your life, you are delusional, lady. You are 100% delusional. You over here talking about you want the same man that all these other women want out here, and a lot of these other women are younger, they're more in shape, they have no children, and they have a lot more to offer that type of man. But in your head, none of that matters. This is why I'm saying you're delusional. You can sit there and pump yourself up like one of those blow up sex dolls, but it ain't going to change none of the facts of what's going on. Dating with 5 kids is harder. You're going to have to make some concessions because whoever you're asking to date you is going to make some concessions. And then you curse like a sailor, you have a horrible attitude on top of the fact that you have those 5 kids. So yeah, it's going to be hard for you to go out there and find the man that you just described. And the funny part about some of you women, y'all so hypocritical and so delusional, y'all will say something and then turn around and say something that totally contradicts everything you just said.
Why I hesitate dating men with kids, part 375. I didn't say I don't date them. I just say I hesitate.
So you do understand there's issues with this, but apparently those issues only apply when it comes to men and not the other way around. This is the hypocritical garbage that drives me crazy with you women. For whatever reason, y'all can understand it going one way, but you can't understand it going the other way. And another thing I want to say, I'm so sick of you women talking about how y'all deserve stuff. Lady, you have 5 children, and apparently the father is not around. Y'all kill me with that because it's absolutely ridiculous. Steph Curry, he deserves to be the best 3-point shooter in history. Michael Jordan deserves to be the best basketball player in history because they did the things to earn that title. That's why they deserve it. You didn't do anything but lay down 5 times to get pregnant, which actually makes your situation worse when it comes to finding a new man. So the only thing you deserve is exactly what you're gonna get. And I always say, ladies, I am not trying to be rude.
I'm just telling the truth.
Every woman tries to manipulate a man and use him to her advantage. Shout out to the men who recognize this and still do it. They recognize it and they still do it because they have masculine energy. Shout out to real masculine energy. Masculine energy is what makes the world go round.
I hate to say it, but this airhead has a point. We all know there's a lot of women out there who love manipulating men, and there are a lot of men who love being manipulated. It's been going on for years, and it ain't gonna change now. So to all the men out there paying for OnlyFans and liking all her pictures on Instagram and telling her how much you love her in the comments, watching all her stories, tricking, staying in the friend zone even though you in love with her, and all of the other things you low self-esteem men do, this young lady here just wants to say thank you.
And to y'all men that still comment on my video, when I was telling the dude, he asked to take me out on a date. And I was telling him, at the time I was having car trouble. And I was telling him, instead of taking me out on a date, that same money that you're going to use for that date, you can help put towards my car. Why in the would I want to go on a date and I got car trouble? I got other on my mind. I ain't thinking about eating. What the He asked to take me out on a date. That's benefiting him because I'm giving him what the he want. How as I'm getting what I want? I don't need to go on a date. I'm not asking to go on a date. What the But it's the same thing. Why would you use the money to take a person out to eat, and you can use that same money to help her with something beneficial in her life? If a person having car trouble, the last thing that they thinking about is some food. Who thinking about food and they got car trouble? He could have get it. He would have been in the dough if he had.
Now, let me just start by saying I agree with this young lady. When she said the last thing you should be worried about when you're having car trouble is food, well, let me just say the second last thing you should be worried about is dating.
You get your ass up to date, go out and look for a job. Job.
And if you already have a job, you need to go look for a second one. But the last thing you need to be doing is worried about dating. Now, I know most men understand what the problem is here, but for the few men who don't get it and the women out there who agree with this young lady, let me break this down to you. Dating is all about getting to know the other person to see if you want to go further with that person. Whatever further means. It could be marriage, it could be a relationship, it could just mean friends with benefits or a booty call. But the art of dating, it is about getting to know the other person to see if this has potential to be something else. We're trying to see if we like each other. That is what dating is for. It is not about getting something to eat. It is not about going shopping. It is not about giving you money. So for her to say he could have just gave her money for her car, that defeats the whole purpose of dating. Because once he gives her the money for the car, he is right back where he started because he still needs to get to know her. The only difference is he will be a couple $100s shorter and she will have a new alternator in her car. That's it. So what she's talking about has nothing to do with dating. What she is doing is called something different. That's not called dating, that's called begging. I know she tried to make it sound good by saying, well, if this is what you're gonna spend if you took me out on a date, so why don't you just give me the money? Well, that's just not how it works. That's like me starting a brand new job. This is my first day. I then call them and say, you know what? I'm not coming to work today, but you should still pay me because you would have had to pay me either way. No, that's not how that works. He would have only been paying for the date if you guys went on a date. He doesn't owe you any money. She is just expecting this man to just give her money because he was attracted to her. Now, if that was his lady, that was his girl or whatever, and he had a special date planned for her and she called him and told him that information, that's totally different. He already knows her, they're in a relationship, so if he wants to invest money in her car instead of a date, makes perfect sense to me. But this lady is a stranger. He might get her alternator fixed and never hear from her again. The only time his name is gonna come up is when she's clowning him in her group chat with her friends. Or even worse, it turns him into a trick and she only calls him when she wants something. So with that being said, if she told that man, I don't want to go on a date with you, but if you send me money to help me with my car, I will give you what you want, then I will be totally fine with that because she's being open and she's being honest. So whatever he decides to do, it's on him. But there is no tricks with that. It's a fair exchange. Now it's prostitution, but it's a fair exchange. Instead of doing that, she's trying to play this man. Talking about if he would have sent me the money, that would have got him in there. He doesn't know you yet. He doesn't even know if he wants to be in there. Now, personally, once you ask somebody to get your car fixed instead of going on a date, that's when he needs to hang up the phone and block your number. But if that man is looking for some bedroom action and he's willing to pay for it, that is when he needs to straight up ask you, are you with the Nate special?
I'm in a bind, Nate. I really need this money, Nate.
And if you say no, that's when he should move on to somebody else. Because in that moment, he should have realized that you're not in need of a boyfriend. You shouldn't be calling a boyfriend. You should be calling Car Shield.
Hey, I had to share this dating experience with y'all. So, go on a date with this guy, and he's a really good dater, by the way. Like, he sent me restaurant options. We chose a place. He said the time, the date of, like he sends a text just to confirm that we're going. I was driving up. I wasn't late, but I was driving up. He sends me a text like, hey, I'm already here. Is there a drink you would like me to order for you? Real good dater. Here's the entertaining part. So this man tells me that he's a good package. And, you know, y'all friend can be sarcastic sometimes, but I didn't. I was like, let me give him the benefit of the doubt. What makes you a good package? He said that he was 6 feet tall. He makes over 6 figures and that he holds good conversation. Listen, when you're 54, that means you've been talking for at least 52 years. You should hold good conversation. You being 6 feet tall, I'm 5'3". I really don't give a damn. Like, I don't care. And in regards to your money, if your money don't pay my bills, what good does that do me? But I wasn't rude. I was just kind of like, okay. But in the same conversation, Get ready for this. He tells me that he lives with his mom because it allows him to save money. Listen, it just don't make sense to me. I was nice about it. I did tell him we would discontinue our efforts towards building a friendship. He did go ahead and proceed to text me like a whole bunch of messages, and I had to block him. But the point is, who is out here telling people this? That's the question I really wanted to ask. Like, who told you this? Who sold you this dream?
Well, let me start by first answering her question. She said, who told him that? Who sold him this dream that he's a catch because he's over 6 feet tall, makes 6 figures, and he knows how to have a conversation? Well, the answer is every woman online except you. That's who said it. It is the criteria heard across the United States. Anybody who hasn't heard that wasn't listening, because that is all these women ask for when they're looking for a man. Some of them will even say they don't even need the 6 figures, but they still need him to be over 6 feet tall. This man is an anomaly, lady, okay? You say somebody sold him a dream? No, they didn't. He is in reality. That is exactly where he is. So he did not lie to you. He is a catch. Maybe not to you, but he is a catch to somebody else. So let's not act like that's not true. What I believe is that he was a catch to you until he said it. See, a lot of people just don't like the cockiness. If he wouldn't have said anything like that, he would have been just fine. It's just like when an average looking person comes online and say they're ugly. Everybody's gonna be in their comments telling them they're gorgeous, they look great, don't down yourself like that. But as soon as that same average person comes online and say they're the baddest thing ever, here's another episode in those comments saying they're ugly, they don't look good, whatever they gotta say to bring them down, because people don't like when other people are cocky. So I believe that's what happened here. You just didn't like his cockiness. Now, I don't know this man from Adam. He could be a total clown, but based on what you just told me, I don't think that's what it was. You just didn't like the fact that he was cocky about it. And as far as him saying he lives with his mother, well, let's just say the situation works for him. What is so wrong with that? The man is 54 years old, so his mother is older. What if he just wants to be there with his mother and save money at the same time? Maybe the man got wiped out during his divorce and he's just regrouping. Who knows? Ask questions, get more information before you start assuming. I do agree, if a man is 54 years old, he doesn't have any money, he's living in his mother's basement, that's a whole different thing. But that is not what I hear in this situation. So I would suggest to you and any other woman out there, ask questions before you just assume. Now, the fact that he sent you a bunch of text messages and you had to block him, I don't know what that's all about. But outside of that, he sounds like a normal dude who's just confident in who he is. And the people who have made him confident is your peoples. Your people did that to him. All these women talk about is 6 figures and 6 feet tall. Now, any man who makes 6 figures over 6 feet tall, he's gonna feel like he can get a girl. So don't blame him because you got a bunch of robots running around here saying the same thing. So don't get mad at the man, get mad at your people. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, leave your thoughts in the video. Appreciate you watching. See you next time.